they changed my life as a father. They changed my life as a man, and they changed my life as a husband. I learned these three things when I was at my lowest point, as a father and a husband. I was separated from my family. I lost them. I lost them due to arrogance and pridefulness and selfishness. And and it was something that I vowed when I was a child that I would never allow my kids to have to live through. Growing up in a broken home, there was so much pain that came to our home because it was broken. It had opened the doors for so much evil to come in as well. And as I said, I had vowed to never put my family through that when I became a man, a father, and a husband. But yet I found myself in that position where I'd made a lot of just bad, stupid mistakes, selfishness, arrogance, pridefulness. And, and, and at that time I had to reflect and, and, I called out. I didn't know the Lord at that time, but I just said, God, if you're real, show yourself to me, because this is not what I want. And he was faithful to do that. Over the next few days, he had he brought someone into my life, someone that I knew back in my college days. And again, this was about 22 years ago, back in my college days, who was, what I would say was the epitome of selfish, arrogant, and prideful as a guy, in our college teenage years. And but yet when the Lord brought him back into my life, he was the total opposite of that. He was humble, he was loving, he was caring, and he shared a few things with me on that day. He introduced me to his wife and his son that I had already known, but his wife, and this brother that I'm talking to you about, his name is Ray, and Ray, if you are watching this, I want to just say thank you, man, because you allowed the Lord to use you in a way that not only changed me as a man, you changed my life forever, but you changed the trajectory of my generations to come. And so I'm forever eternally grateful for you and your faithfulness. And Ray, as he shared some things, he also invited me to church. I went to church with him. He introduced me to some of his closest friends, his brothers there, and they began sharing the Bible with me and what I like to say, discipling me. We began studying. And in those studies, the three scriptures that I came across very early in our studies were three scriptures that I mentioned to you that changed my life. And one of them was Ephesians 6, verse 4. And it says, "And you, fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord," training and instruction of the Lord. The second was 1 Corinthians 13. And 1 Corinthians 13 is, "Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking or selfish. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, and it rejoices with the truth. It always protects, trusts, hopes. It always perseveres. Love never fails." And I'll just stop there just for a second, because there's one more that I'll share with you. But just those two things, me as a father bringing my children up in the training and instruction of the Lord, me as a man understanding love, like my definition of love was the total opposite. And when I put those two things together, I said to myself, wow, like if I understood how to love that way and not how to love in a way that I learned from people who didn't understand love, did I learn from TV and the wrong examples? If my definition of love, my definition of a father were those two things, my relationship with my children, my relationship in the past and present would be so much different. But if I adopt that, then what I truly want as a father, as a man, is that kind of love. What I truly want, if my relationship with my kids are that important, if I adopt those things, what would the future of my relationship be with them, whether our family gets back together or not? And so I wanted to know more. And there was another scripture that came to me, that the Spirit showed me. And that scripture was Ephesians 5, verse 25 through 28. And it was what my responsibility of a husband is. My responsibility as a husband, it says, husbands, love your wives as Christ also loved the church, giving himself up for her, so willing to die for her, that I might sanctify her with the washing of the water of the word, presenting her back to her father, to my father, without stain, blemish, or wrinkle, holy. So, husbands, love your wives also as you love your own body. And he who loves his wife loves himself. And when I saw that, I had the same reflection that I had when I thought about the first three scriptures as related to my son and my daughters. And I said, man, if I was loving my wife like that, what would our relationship be like today? There's probably no chance under heaven that we'd be separated. Why? Because she would truly understand how much she's loved by the one man that God created for her. And she would truly understand that what the love of Christ through me was supposed to be like, what it was supposed to feel like, what it was supposed to make her feel like, and how it would strengthen, encourage her, and lift her up to be the awesome mother and a woman of God that she's called to be. And then that scripture where it says, for wives, you are to obey your husband as in the Lord. Like, no woman on earth really can even fathom that unless what? One, unless she knows and loves the Lord, but unless she also understands the love of Christ through her husband, who shows her that the only thing that comes before her is God himself. That's it. And when a woman knows that she's honored and cherished and loved in that way, then there's nothing she wouldn't give for her husband. And my wife definitely didn't know that. Right? Because I didn't lead by the example that he called me to lead by as a husband and as a man. So in learning those things, I knew that there was something more that I needed to know. And because of that, I wanted to know more. I began to read my word. And I subsequently gave my life to Christ because I wanted what he said I could have as a husband and as a father. I wanted that. What he said my children should have, what my wife should have, I wanted that. And then the Spirit asked me, he said, James, how long are you willing to wait if I were to possibly restore this marriage? And my answer was, Lord, I did a lifetime of damage and I don't deserve it. So I'm willing to wait a lifetime if that's what it takes. And he honored that. And he restored my marriage. Today we've been together 36 years. Our marriage is stronger than it's ever been. Our children know the Lord. Our children are either engaged marriage or to be engaged, and they're married and engaged to men and women who love them because they love him. Right? And so prayerfully, this was encouraging to you. If you don't know him, I would tell you, read those scriptures. Again, I'll tell you what they are. Scriptures are Ephesians 6, verse 4, 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4 through 8, and Ephesians 5, verse 25 through 28. And I prayerfully, again, those are things that you can be encouraged by, so you can be a stronger man of God, a better husband, a better father, right? And if you haven't had to go through any of those things, or if you haven't had to, but if you are, I want them to encourage you so that you can get through them and know that he, as a father, would never leave or forsake you, and that he loves you far more than you could ever imagine. And so with that, I want to say happy Father's Day to you all. Family, financial freedom with the precepts of the Lord. That's what this is about. And prayerfully, this was encouraging to you. So, by the way, I got something else for you. I'm going to be doing a challenge, a family financial freedom challenge this week. Click the link in my bio. Go over to my Instagram or click the link inside the comments. Join the challenge. We'll spend a few days together and we'll be able to get into a lot more of those things, but also I'll be able to share with you how I was able to use God's precepts as well to build financial freedom and independence and begin building wealth for myself, my family, and the generations to come, so that you could do the same thing. So with that said,